for me, but you don't ultimately need me. You are your best doctor. It's called intuition. It's called following your gut. One of my favorite and best friends says it's following the sparkles. It's following what you love. Because ultimately, if you do that, health will follow. Am I wrong? Right? It sounds really easy. For some people it's not. And then following nature's laws, like I said, we'll go over. So upon graduation from Naturopathic Medical School, is the list that I said before, we have a huge toolbox to pull from. Because we were trained in minor surgery, we were trained in OB, we were trained in IV therapy, we were trained in manipulation, we were trained in herbal remedies, homeopathy. So we have a huge toolbox once we graduate. And I have found my expertise in food. A phrase just kind of fell out of my mouth one day. I was like, I'm a food expert. I was like, I don't know what that is, but it sounds really important. So I just started calling myself that. Again, like I take teaching very seriously. I'm a healthy living and nutritional coach. I'm the co-author of Food That Grows, which is here, and we're raffling one off. I'm an international speaker. I am a health and food blogger, and my website is drtandacook.com. And I'm a sustainable farmer. So my husband and I have 5 acres right outside of Bozeman, Montana. And we raise and are committed to raising as much of our food as possible. Everything from a 36 by 36 garden, an 8 by 10 greenhouse. And then we raise chickens, ducks, turkeys, all for eggs and for meat. We call them the layers and the slayers. And goats, horses, dogs, I am committed to knowing what it takes to grow our food, because if you take one thing away from me today, it is to shop local. Supporting your local farm is the most important thing you can do, not only for your health, but for the earth. And so I want to know what it takes to tell you to go do that, right? I'm not telling you to walk out that door and go create a farm, although that would be super awesome. I am going to ask you to shop as locally as possible. And so my promise for you today is a new view of health, food, your body, and hopefully your life. Now quickly, my Arbonne story. Arbonne found me. How many of you in here are familiar with Arbonne? You're laughing at me. How many of you in here have done the 30 Days to Healthy Living? How many of you? Wow, there's a lot of you. How many of you in here saw a difference? Thank you. So Arbonne found me in 2010 by way of ENVP. Laura Muirhead, this beautiful human on the right. And I actually didn't join Arbonne for the products. I actually didn't even join Arbonne for the business model. I joined Arbonne because I saw the heart in that one. And I've been with Arbonne for 8 years, and that heart is real. I mean, the community that this company attracts is extraordinary. And that's initially why I got into it. And then following that, the products are amazing and are completely in alignment with me as a naturopath. And then the business model is phenomenal. So in 2011, I attended the global convention in Vegas that is held every April, where they launch new products, and it's a really cool deal. We actually just came back from it a couple weeks ago. And in 2011, so I'm a brand new naturopath. I graduated in 2009 from med school, and then I became an Arbonne consultant. And then they launched the 30 Days to Healthy Living in 2011. And I'm literally the nosebleed section of the MGM, if any of you guys have been there. It's really, really high up. And I was like touching the back wall, and on the Jumbotron, it's like, the 30 Days to Healthy Living, it's like detox programs. And I'm like, oh no. And I was like, maybe I should just leave now, because when you hear the word detox, and you hear the word cleanse, and you hear the word, healthy living, what do you guys think of? It's usually extremes, or just things that go against physiology. And so as I'm like ready to, Jedi mind trick at my way out of the MGM, Arbonne started talking about the philosophy that was behind the 30 Days to Healthy Living, which was we're not what we eat, we are what we absorb, which we'll talk about. It was the importance of eliminating inflammatory foods, gluten, dairy, soy, sugar, alcohol, and caffeine for at least 30 days, which is, again, something that I was teaching as a naturopath. So as I was doing this, I was slowly then doing this back to my seat and sitting down and being like, okay, fine. So Arbonne blew me away that day. And like I said, I've been here ever since. So before we dive into Arbonne and the 30 Days to Healthy Living, I want to start with what is health and disease, because these are two terms that we throw around a lot. And we also have it that health and disease are like next door neighbors. This is a paradigm I want to shift around the words health and disease. How many times have we heard somebody say, oh, she was the picture of health and then she was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer? Oh, he was the picture of health, super healthy guy, and then was running a marathon and dropped out of a heart attack. Does that make sense? No, then why do we say it? So we have it, we're communicating like health and disease are next door neighbors, like they're fence buddies, and disease is like, hey, health, do you have sugar? Picking up what I'm putting down. Well, disease obviously would ask for sugar right there. I want you guys to try on that health and disease is like the opposite sides of the United States. Like health is California and disease is... Like they're going up and down the coast feeling the room. South Carolina. I usually pick on Jersey, but I think we're a little too close. And then everything from, I'm going to say, east of the Mississippi, you're kind of headed down into, so there's toxic food, signs and symptoms, disease, abnormal cells, right? And not that I want to pick on the East Coast, but the analogy is there. You guys get it? So every choice that you are making every single day is either sending you more towards California or more towards South Carolina. Or the Jersey Shore. So, again, like everything from what we're putting in our body, our hormone balance, our mental emotional, which is plays a huge role in health. Now, I usually don't tell people this, but if you guys draw a triangle, here you have pieces of paper, divided into 3 parts. The bottom third of that triangle is physical, the middle third of that triangle is emotional, and the top of that little triangle is spiritual. And how the Western medicine treats not only from the bottom up, but we categorize that, right? You see a physician for physical, we go to a psychiatrist for emotional, and then you go to church. And you treat them as 3 separate things, except that triangle is you. And so naturopathic medicine focuses and treats from the top down. Because I know if there's a physical imbalance, then there's what? An emotional imbalance that really stems from a what? A spiritual disconnect. Okay? And like I said, I typically don't say that, but this room I think can handle it. So again, it's like that is either sending you more towards California or more towards this coast. So the disease model, which is what most Western medicine is based on, which isn't bad. I'm not against Western medicine, you guys. If I was hit by a truck or, hurt in some way, you better believe I'd want it to be in the United States. We are so good at acute care. We are failing chronic disease. So it assumes that an external stress causes disease. It also assumes symptoms in our different parts of the body are unrelated. How many of us are going to nephrologists, and then pulmonologists, and then cardiologists, and then zoologists? And typically, nobody is talking to each other. But like that triangle, you are one thing. And then that treatment is allopathic, to do the opposite, right? When you have a bacterial infection, you take a what? Antibiotic. You have a viral infection, you take an antiviral. If you have anxiety, you take a anxiolytic, right? Which again is sometimes needed. So then how do you define disease? And so many people, this is an easy thing for them to define. It's an abnormal condition of the body or mind that causes discomfort, dysfunction, or distress, and then a pathology is a physical change that can be seen on the naked eye, lab test, medical image, or under a microscope, right? This is the body. One of my mentors calls it functional physiology. The body is compensating for a really, really long time until the change can be seen. Because cancer just doesn't happen overnight, right? It's a process that's been going on for a really, really long time. And I will bust into accents, and I apologize for that. So, we don't necessarily have to go through this. Typically, I'll have a room of 100 people, which is about what we have today. You or somebody you know is diagnosed or has a chronic disease, raise your hand. You or somebody you know takes prescription meds, has had an organ removed. By the end of that, everybody in the room is raising their hand. And then I have everybody, and I do want you guys to participate in this. Who in this room, you or somebody you know is living the life of their dreams? Don't be shy. And most of you know me, so all your hands should be up. Right, but that's, you guys get the shift that needs to happen. And it's possible. Again, just what's normal, 70% of Americans are overweight or obese, 1 in 2 men and 1 in 3 women are diagnosed with cancer. That statistic is changing and honestly getting worse. Average of only 4 meals a week are eaten at home, and we eat an average of 170 pounds of sugar-ish per year, per person. 80% of money is spent on healthcare is in the last year of life, and you guys, you better believe that's not quality of life, that's trying to keep somebody alive. And then medical bills are the #1 reason for bankruptcy in the United States, and this is kind of where we're going, right? Okay, so that's disease, and so then what is health? And I was in my 2nd or 3rd year of medical school, and one of my mentors stood up in front of 120 students and said, "Hey guys, you are in the field of health, what is it?" And we were like, we don't know. It's harder to define health. At least it was for us. Because a lot of times when I ask this question, people say it's the absence of something. Like, I don't have back pain. That's health. I'm like, well, that's a start, right? And so the analogy that I use, and most of you in this room have heard me use this analogy, is this is how I view health and disease, is with light and dark. So if you walk into a dark room and you can't see, what do? You turn on a light, you open a window, you light a candle, you use your iPhone. I've had 2 teenage girls look me in the eye and go, "I just smile." It's like, I feel so bad for your parents. Not judging. The point is, we bring in light such that darkness then cannot exist. So I view health and disease in the exact same way. With health, disease cannot and will not show up. Because the body innately wants to be healthy. You guys, your body today, right now, is doing everything in its power to be healthy. And if it's not, there's a roadblock somewhere. And it's my job as a physician to figure that out, but it's also my job as a teacher to teach you what that roadblock is and how to remove it. And if you're willing to remove it, right? Then there comes this guy. Like, but I love sugar. We'll talk about why you love sugar in a little bit. So then how do you define health? It's a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being.